welcome to this week's Kids Church at Home video. I'm so glad that you have taken this time to spend with me. This week we are honoring Indigenous Sunday, a time for us to remember and honor the deep connection that we humans have to creation that our Indigenous brothers and sisters so often teach us about. And to do that, we're going to go right back to the beginning of our creation story that teaches us how closely tied we are to everything around us. But before we get into our story and activity today, our special shout out this week goes to Emily and to Jack. Thanks so much for joining. So let's travel back to the beginning. Our story today is an ancient story. It's one of many ancient stories created to remind us humans of God's intimate involvement in creation that is all around us, and the part that we ourselves as humans play in this thing that we call creation. For this week's story, I've gone back to some of our play boxes, and we're going to share the creation story today. In the beginning there wasn't very much. In the beginning there was nothing, except perhaps an enormous smile, but there was no one there to see it. Then on the very first day, God gave us the gift of light. So now there was not just darkness, but there was light and dark. And I don't mean just the light in the light bulb or the car lights at night. I don't mean just this light or that light, but I mean all of the light that is light. God gave us the gift of the light that all light comes from. When God saw this light, God said, "This is so good." And that was the end of the first day. On the second day, God gave us the gift of water. Now, I don't mean just the water in the water glass or the water in the bathtub or the shower. I don't even mean the water in a lake or a river. I don't even mean just the water in the ocean or the water that comes from the sky in rain. I mean all of the water that is water. This is the water that all the rest of water comes from. This is called firmament. It divides the waters above and the waters below. When God saw this water, God said, "This is so good." And that was the end of the second day. On the third day, God gave us the gift of dry land. God divided the water and the dry land and gave us the gift of green and growing things. When God saw the dry land and the green and the growing things, God said, "This is so good." And that was the end of the third day. On the fourth day, God gave us the gift of day and night. God gave us a way to count our days. Here is the great light that rules the day, the sun, and here are the lights that rule the night, the moon and the stars. When God saw the day and the night, our way to keep time, God said, "This is good." And that was the end of the fourth day. On the fifth day, God gave us the gift of all the creatures that fly in the air. Not just the birds, but all the creatures that fly and all the creatures that swim in the water, all of them. When God saw all the creatures that fly and all the creatures that swim, God said, "This is so good." And that was the end of the fifth day. On the sixth day, God gave us the gift of all the creatures that walk upon this earth. The creatures that walk with 2 legs, the creatures that walk with many legs, and all the gifts of all the other days. God said, "This is so good." And that was the end of the 6th day. On the 7th day, God rested and gave us the gift of a day of rest, to remember the great gifts of all the other days. There is nothing here because people go to different places to remember the great gifts. You can imagine something here, maybe your favorite place, and remember it. It might be your back garden, a tree, a church, or your room. It might be mountains or an ocean or lake. Only you know where this place of rest is. What I know is that this day is special. And sometimes people mark it with a cross or a star or a crescent. How do you mark this special day of rest? The story of creation. I wonder, which one of those days is your favorite? I wonder, which one do you think might be the most important? Is there one of those days that we could take out and it wouldn't affect the others? Is there one of those days that you would have changed? The story of creation. The story to remind us of how deep God is in everything around us. But not just that God is in all of it, but how all of it is so tied together. And it's tied together because God is in it. And we are part of one of those days. We are not one day. We're part of one day. And because we are part of one day, we too are connected into this web of creation. That without us, things in this world would be different. Because of us, things in this world are different. And so we have to wonder, how can we be the best that we can be in God's creation? How can we act in a way that lifts up all of the creation that we are so connected to? So, I wonder, how does this story challenge you to think about the actions that you might take in this world that support and help and lift up and strengthen the creation that you are connected to? What are the actions that we need to stop as humans? The actions that hurt this whole web of creation around us, and that hurt us when this creation web starts to fail and fall apart. These are big questions. This is a big story. A story about a gift that God has created, and a gift that we are called to honor. And so I wonder, how will you honor this gift this week? Okay, friends, for this Indigenous Sunday and celebration of creation, I thought we would do something special and make a treat that will remind us of part of the story. I was thinking the part of the story where the water is separated from the air. So we are going to make jello, but it's jello that's a little bit special, which is why the kids are joining me, because there are treats involved and we're excited. Okay, the first thing we need to do is get 2 boxes of blue jello and add it to our bowl. And I've gotten a really big wide bowl because I want this jello to cool down really fast. So we're going to get that in there. And while we were getting ready, I boiled some water. So we're going to add, the recipe says 2 cups of water, but I like my jello to be a little bit firmer. So I'm not going to put quite 2 cups in. It's just a little less than 2 cups. So are you going to pour that in for me? Thanks, Eli. So, there we go. And then we're going to grab the whisk and we're going to whisk it until we don't see any sugar at the bottom anymore. And while Madeline is doing that, I'm going to take the same cup and fill it with ice cubes. Or do you want to fill it with ice cubes? Ice cubes, I'll leave it there. You grab the ice cubes. So adding the ice should cool it down really fast. So we're going to add the ice, we're going to mix it around for 5 minutes, and at the end of 5 minutes we're going to pull out any ice that's left so that it doesn't get too watery in there. You get to put just don't splash it up in your face, because remember that is hot. So you might want to bring it down nice and low. Fabulous. Okay, then we're going to keep this here, we're going to mix it around for 5 minutes, and hopefully it will start to thicken up. Okay, so we've been about 5 minutes. We're now going to pull the leftover ice cubes out.
How many ice cubes?
There we go. You can already see that there's a little bit of jello that's sticking on our scoop when we do that. So it is getting thicker. It doesn't quite feel thick enough to scoop into our cups yet. So I'm going to take an extra step, and we're going to throw this in the fridge for maybe 10 minutes and hope that it firms up a little bit more so that when we put it into our cups, it's a little bit jelly. It doesn't have to be all set, but it has to be set enough to be able to hold some whipped cream on top of it. So we're going to stop mixing it. Thank you. And we can put it in the fridge. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes? 15 minutes, I think. It's been enough time for me to clean the kitchen and get organized. And our jello now is not quite set, but you can see it's kind of wiggly jiggly already.
If you tap it with a spoon, what happens?
We tap it with a spoon, it goes plop, 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 plop.
Like a jello.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to create our sky creations. The way we do this is you scoop some jello. Whoa, yeah. Easier said than done. Scoop some jello into your cup. Like that. And then we need to make our clouds. So we're going to get some whipped cream. And I'm going to put it up against the side of the cup. Whoop, there we go. There. There we've got a cloud. And then we'll scoop some more and we'll fill up the cup. Now, I got thinking that we don't have to do just a sky. I found some jellies that are in the shapes of fish and turtles and frogs. So if you don't want to use whipped cream and create clouds, you could make an ocean and put the jellies in the ocean. Or you could put the jellies in the ocean at the bottom and you could put your clouds on top. It's entirely up to you. Now is your time to have fun and get creative.
Can I just put gummies like in now?
Sure, you can put gummies in now. And we'll just keep layering it up. Oops.
Why did you do that?
Okay. I did it.
All
Wait, my friends.
Wait.
What? Oh, we're putting frog on top. Oh, we're out of jellies. So I can't. I don't have one for
You
mine.
can have half of it.
No, it's okay.
Butt side.
Butt side. Okay, my friends. Well, we have filled our glasses. Aren't these cool looking? Look at that. You can see the separation of the clouds and the sky. We've got the toaster going in the background. We are ready to actually have to put these still in the fridge for a little bit. There's the disappointed look of Eli. We're going to put it back in the fridge probably for another hour just to let that jello firm up nice and solid. And then we will have a wonderful treat to remember the story of creation and to remember that we are a part of this creation. Well, my friends, I hope that you have some fun. Maybe get creative. Maybe you try different colors of jello or different types of jellies, or I don't know. I'd love to see what you can come up with to make your treat in celebration of creation. Until then, we go with our blessing. May there be love in your heart to give. May there be joy in your heart to share. And may there be strength in your heart to lift others up. We'll see you later, my friends. Enjoy your treat.